Hello everyone! Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Weekend Frivolity. This is our Broiler Chicken Show. Back. RationalInvestor.com. I don't know whether I've even put a YouTube link or anything out for this. Kind of just winging it, the way I usually do these. But the level 1 school program, I think today's the 6th. Yeah, 6th of June, yeah. Level 1 school program seems to be winding up. I think somebody in the lounge said that it looks like they're winding up. So we'll probably have the level 1ers sort of pour in to the video here as we go. And really, this weekend show, while the school term is open, really kind of like it to be sort of oriented towards them. So they have a Q&A document, and whoops, that's not what I wanted to show you. I guess starting the video off of here. So, but they have a Q&A document that I would like to address. Yeah, I can't remember. I guess this is no. Yeah, okay. So this is a couple of weeks ago. I know we left off. Yeah, I remember we talked about Mr. Plump. I can't remember. I guess it looks like we're right up to date. Well, that sounds familiar. I think we talked about that last week. Guess if there are any level 1 students to help your other students, it would be kind of cool if you could, if somebody could volunteer to put down like a time mark or something on these comments, and that way it helps your fellow students and it helps me. 6-6, I guess that's here today. Ooh boy, 10 questions. Ooh, sexy. Golden triangle. So it looks to me like they're gonna have me pretty busy here over the next hour or two. So don't be surprised. I'm gonna spend a bit of time on that as well too. And I see there's about a half a dozen people or so on YouTube. Actually, it's interesting. I had a dream that I can never remember the guy's name, like G8 something or other. And he actually said he was going to write a book on his notes taken from this YouTube video, which I thought was so funny. So what an odd dream to have. Maybe it was a premonition. Who knows? So does anybody know, is there any way to change the background this so it's like, like how they have like nighttime screen? Because that bright screen, man, that's too much for my eyes. I need a goddamn sunglasses. I don't know how you do that though. Does anybody know just off the top of head if Brave, you can change the background color of this? Just seems awfully bright. Anyway, I'll put it back to that. Maybe I'll just jump over to the question and then jump back. Dark mode would be a blessing. Yeah, no, totally, eh? I'm not quite sure how you change that. Anyway. So, I guess, maybe, I don't know whether Kevin or Sharktoshi are here now or not. But, I see Kevin's here. And so, I don't know, are they done? What software are you using? Oh, it's Brave browser. All right, so they're done. I'll just give sort of an overview. I do these, these free videos with Kevin Monday. What is it? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, I guess. Kind of odd days. So, if you watch the channel through the week, you've probably seen this image before. Really, I don't see any reason to change any sort of thinking through here. What I will say is, if anything, I'm a little concerned that, when you have these kind of like megaphone bottom trend lines like this, and then you go sideways, hopefully you can see that you can actually open up this whole area to come right back down to this previous trend line. So I really don't like when I see this kind of price action. It's a little bit bothersome. So don't be surprised if the fireworks of this seasonal correction are not done yet. I did even have some people, on the site. I'll just do 4 hour, kind of saying, if I'm a setups kind of person, and I'm not supposed to really have an opinion in this game, I'm just supposed to trade setups, then I start to see a bearish setup that I've been working with for quite a long period of time. So, as an old sort of gnarly veteran kind of guy, I see this shit. Excuse me. Let's try and use better language, Brian. You see this stuff set itself up time and time again. And, when it plays out, you go, oh, geez, how cliche. So, I don't know what the hell is going to happen. And frankly speaking, it's not my job to predict what's going to happen. We've been sort of talking in the social sort of circle, social media, whatever the hell you want to call it, about this, it's kind of like a triangle. You can even go off of, actually, it looks like this is a pretty old trend line, too. Wonder how old that is. Oh, that goes all the way back off that original top way up there. You can see this triangle's definitely, there's a coil building. Something's about to happen here. Hey, oh, something. As JoJo used to always say. So I know one way or another something's about to happen here. So that's kind of good in a way. It'll inject a little bit of excitement. We've been a little bit calm here for the past, I guess, week or two. Usually, these kind of correction moves, they kind of move in like A, B, C, D. There's kind of like two waves to them. The only problem is, and I was joking with the kids on the site this morning, is I do believe that hell, I used to have guys on the fucking floor of the CME, which used to freak me out. I'd literally be sitting there on the damn top step call, and some fucking clown would walk by Eddie and go, hey, what's that Beamish guy doing? Is he long or short? I'd be like, oh, wow. It just freaks you out. So I definitely think that there are people that listen and watch the levels and shit that I talk about. And I sometimes see, I'll draw this and I'll go, man, probably into Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'll come back after Liam, and it's like fucking right there already. Bang! So, don't be surprised. But at the same time, too, I also sometimes see that it's like I kind of, like, I'll map something out, and I can almost see, in the hours that follow, that it's kind of like, they saw what I mapped out, and they didn't want the public to think that, and they quickly went and broke that pattern. I see that happen a lot, too. The point here is that, and probably the stuff that I'm showing you, it'll probably work a lot better if I just kept my mouth shut and we just kept it internal in TRI. But because I'm big blabbermouth, and fucking thousands of people watch these damn videos, so I'm sure somebody at some institutional desk is going, hey, just keep an eye on what that silly Beamish guy's saying, and let's not walk into just giving these kids some free money if it's really obvious what we're telegraphing here. So I'm gonna point out Mr. Institutional, Mr. The popular phrase, because everybody's handing around Wyckoff check videos now. So I think the popular phrase is Mr. Composite Man, the Wyckoff reference. You could call it Goldman Sachs, you could call it Joey Diamond, you can call it, in Bitcoin, of course, they call it the whales, right? It could be the Chinese miners. You liquidate me, I liquidate myself. There's so many different players in this game. That's the one good thing about Bitcoin is, man, it is universal right across the map. Everybody gets all excited and upset about the fact that maybe the Chinese are cornering the mining market, and out of nowhere, a South American country goes, we're going to adopt Bitcoin as our official currency. We've given up on monetary policy. It just doesn't work. It's great. I tell you, man, we live in fascinating times. Fascinating times. You cannot write better fiction than reality. And if anybody actually could tell you how this shit's gonna play out ultimately, I don't think that you could probably sit, 100 monkeys in front of 100 typewriters, banging out the what's that? There's a famous quote about that. But anyway, I don't think anybody could possibly predict the end story of this. It's just so insanely over the top. And frankly speaking, if I remember getting, in this space in 2013, people thought that $10,000 a Bitcoin was over the top. I remember talking to some of them, when I first got into the space, and they dreamed about $10,000 Bitcoin. That was like the ultimate zenith. And how ironic, $10,000 Bitcoin. When I went on a Bitcoin podcast kind of broadcast, and TRI's lounge is fairly active, so we're constantly posting, different videos all over social media. And hey, these guys are chatting, and these guys are chatting. And if I hear something I like, I bark about it on Twitter. And I listened to one interesting conversation a couple people had. I guess there were 3 people. Actually, I've listened to a few really interesting podcasts. I like the idea. We all now have to officially call you-know-who Alan. I thought that was great. I gotta give you, that was the best thing that I heard out of that broadcast that I tweeted this morning. I thought that was awesome. Just to piss that guy off. Well, I'll officially call him Alan from now on. Anyway. So, back to the story here. I don't hear enough people talking about things like cost of production. And it's cost of production that actually sort of establishes a floor of where quote-unquote value is in any commodity industry. My hunch is, this is the beauty about Bitcoin, but it's a little scary. But in essence, I think you make the argument that every few years that cost of production doubles. Boom, doubles. Because of that, that means this thing is ever rising. So, that's kind of cool. But in a weird sort of way, does it not make sense that because of that, this actually will work very well within the fiat currency system? In essence, by Bitcoin doubling every few years, whatever it is, right, and the price of it constantly rising, then what that technically means is we can continue this same old fiat currency nonsense, but we'll use Bitcoin as sort of like a value proxy. And then these guys that can continue going and inflating the economy, and because we know that every 4 years the whole damn thing has to double again, right? And probably if you look at the rate of growth, like the exponential rate of growth of the money supply and the size of the economy and all that, it's probably going to follow something along those lines. So, it'd be interesting. You could make the argument that Bitcoin hard money, we could leave the old fiat system if the cost of production was always stable, right? And that's sort of gold. Gold tries to have relatively stable cost of production. But it's only because of the Fed system of inflating the money supply that the cost of production for gold goes up. Right here, Bitcoin has it go up automatically. So it's almost like it's going to... They assume in Bitcoin land that the value of money will fall in half every 4 years. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Point of the matter here is that was the last sort of reset we had. It was not that long ago. This is what kills me about this space is, this was only a year ago. This is like a year and a half ago. Bitcoin was like 3 or 4 G's. Why? How does this happen? These silly humans. It's like, we run up to 50, 60 G's. And it's like, well, we're never going to come back to that. That was a different world. This is a completely this new world, and we will never go back to this world. What? It drives you crazy. I would say, if you were thinking value, just like in this environment, and keep in mind that, these mining rigs, ironically enough, these will be the inefficient, these will be the old technology, these will be the crappy efficiency mining rigs by the time we get to the next halvening cycle. So in a weird sort of way, you can kind of see the future where these things are going to bottom, because they'll be the inefficient ones. And then the guys who are like front end, cutting edge of miner technology, their cost of productions will be much less. But anyway, point of the matter here is that theoretically this is that kind of cost of production kind of thinking, and it really hasn't changed a hell of a lot. And if we think, I remember all through this market we were saying 2,500, then we, halvening 5,000, then next halvening will be 10,000. Okay, so that's fine. Yeah, I mean, what's so wrong with that? So it's so ironic that I spent literally, Julie and I started this company back where? Right here. So we spent a huge chunk of our business where a lot of people were just dreaming about 10 Gs. There's 10 Gs right there. It just got up there a little bit and then it lost that, and it took a long time for it to even just to recapture that in earnest, eh? So, if anything, I'm a little saddened because what I think's happened here, and like I said, that was that, and I'll just wind this thought up and then we'll head on over to the questions. So that was this right here. I hear from the community, this is what you got to be worried about. Like this idiot, these kind of people, they're gonna get fucking Bitcoin in trouble if he goes around tearing up US dollar bills. Technically, that's against the law, right? Because those are actually issued Federal Reserve notes, right? They actually have a running tally of how many of those are out in circulation. So, and they're supposed to be X amount, right, according to the formula. So I thought that was hilarious. Don't be this guy. This is amateur. Maybe the guy's gonna knock the cover off the ball, but you look at him. Fuck, he's gonna blow himself up with all the coke he's doing. Look at him. He can't even sit still for an interview. So don't be this guy, okay? I see this. The only way I could stay doing this business for 30 bloody years is I am not that guy. This guy's interviewing, right? It's not. I thought that was hilarious. I had such a great time with this is Aaron from Ubic right here. And really, you want to look at an idea that's so ridiculously undervalued. That Ubic is a steal down here. And then this is Andrew, a local DJ here in Vancouver. Pretty popular guy on the website. He's such a cool dude. I like cool dudes. I look like such a goof. But these guys are cool dudes. So, what I like to do is just hang around with cool people, and then maybe if I'm really lucky, some of their coolness sort of rubs off on me, but not very often. Anyway, so we had a really fun walk up the mountain. But Andrew's a local celebrity on the site, just great guy. He and I hang out a lot. And Aaron, of course, is a principal of Ubic. And actually, he's really active in Decentraland. And we had some really cool conversations about Decentraland. I'd really like to try and get TRI a little bit more active in there. So what I've done here is just an FYI for everybody out there, for whatever it's worth. It's not really worth that much. But kind of bored midweek. I used to do a show on Coinigy on Wednesdays with Alex Sturck and the Coinigy people, and we just reviewed cryptocurrencies, and I was like, fuck, I'm locked in my cage. There's not really much I can do. So I was like, what the hell? Why don't I just get it going again? So I did ask for some help on the site, and that invitation, I still need an assistant to help me pull this off consistently. So I'll take a request to be that assistant. 6 p.m. on Wednesdays is the time, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And I need somebody to just fill in the symbols and update the spreadsheet and, do things like tweets and stuff like that. I don't want to tax our people that are already on the site working away in current jobs too hard. So that's why I said this is an opportunity for site members and people, maybe old OGs that do want to be a little bit more active, to step up and help me. I am looking for an assistant. And what we're going to do, although I can't find the damn link, is no, weird. I thought I tweeted it out. It's all this damn political nonsense. Try and forgive my rants, but I really don't like the influence a certain country has on our political system right at the moment. So it's a bit scary. So that's a lot of that kind of stuff. This is the old crypto show from last week, so it should have been in here. Where the hell is the damn tweet? Maybe I got rid of it. But anyway, I put out a cute little video about halfway through the week that was just sort of be like a crypto top 100 review. And, it's a show just to have people call in and, obviously, well, maybe we'll do call-ins. That'd be kind of fun. I haven't seen that in a while. But, back, we used to have a wheel and people would post coins they want me to look at and stuff like that. Here it is. Yeah, this is what it is. So I'm going to call it the TRI Top 100 Crypto Review. Did a fun one just the other day on my own. I got through about 10 names and then I was like, oh, fuck, I'm exhausted.
Hello, everyone.
So, but maybe like an hour long Wednesday evenings. And, hopefully people get some good value out of that. We'll try and have a half-decent little database. And what I'm asking and what I'm proposing here is, people in the public that watch this and stuff, the way that you can remunerate us is a tip is I've set up like one of these mana addresses on this browser. You go to Decentraland and they set you up. I think I've done it right. I don't know. Maybe I have. Maybe I haven't. But this is the tipping address. And if you're sitting there and you're watching this video series, I'm gonna do it every Wednesday. And all that kind of stuff. And I'll do all the links and all that crap in there. Like I said, I need an assistant to help me do this. And the way you can sort of pay us back if you get any value out of anything that I say is throw us a couple manas or whatever. And we'd like to go get a piece of property in Decentraland because Aaron here, actually, that's what he does. Big part of his time. Where the hell did he go? Is he builds stuff in Decentraland for people. So we had a great conversation about that. Ubic and all them, they've got a cool little office building, if you will. I think I should probably get the address for it. But anyway, you can learn more about Aaron and the various this is one reason why I absolutely love working with crypto people. Look at this guy's attitude, right? This guy's attitude is, life's treated me so well. He's the random acts of kindness kind of guy. These are good people. They're beautiful people. They just have such great spirit. And he has a site, anyway, it's Philanthropy through crypto. I really like Aaron. Like I said, I wouldn't climb up a mountain here just with anybody. So if you're interested, go visit his Philanthropy site. And like I said, he does a lot of work on in Decentraland, and it's so cool. They have a full booth and everything. And I'd really like, what I want to do is they've got this really cool booth, and on a big screen here, they've got like Frank Sinatra music playing. But what I want to do is I just want to have all the old coinage videos and like all of these broiler chickens. It's just a constant stream. It's just constantly playing here, and people can walk in. This guy right here, you can see they had 4,000 visitors. I'm sure a lot of people would just pop in and just start watching and Just like you guys here on YouTube are watching here. I bet you a lot of people would sit in there and just be more than happy just to sit and watch. And maybe we even do the broadcast straight from there. So that's what I'm sort of thinking. That's my vision here after having that really awesome afternoon with Aaron and Andrew. And the way I'd like to fund it, because this is getting pretty damn expensive now. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This ain't cheap. Decentraland is getting expensive. And the way I'd like to do it is if you find any value in the work that I do, like on YouTube, through these videos, I'll throw up the mana donation address. I think you can see it right on the, like I said, I was kind of, I'm sure some people are going, fuck, why is he blasting us goddamn shill crap here? But I just wanted to, get the addresses and all that crap, because I'm not really that good at this stuff. So, sorry if it felt like I was shilling. I'm not. I just want to make sure that this is all sort of links next week and the week after and the week after. All I do is just cut and paste. So anyway, that's that. All right. Blah, 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 blah. As I said with the corn, I mean, this is why we do reload zones and all this kind of fun stuff. Trade location, reason why you're going to risk your hard-earned money. It's not really that difficult. 16,000, it's ironic. I still have some 16,000 put options on Deribit right now for June. My hunch is that actually what they're going to do here is they're going to go blah, 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 blah. As soon as all those options expire, and you could probably watch the order book, and probably September, they're going to go kajish. That's what I think is going to happen here. And that would be almost exactly the same as what happened back in 13, which is what I think this year's going to look a lot like. Where you had the big spike up in the spring. Then consolidation sideways, even came all the way back to 78.6, which of course you guys don't want to see. It might happen. And then, sort of right down on its knees. And then this was interesting. This was the Silk Road reversal low. That's sort of what caught everybody's attention. And there was this thing called the Willy bot that took over. And people actually blame an algorithm for this. And this is actually what undid Karpellis at Gox, because as things were going along here, everything was fine, right? People were sending him money, depositing on Gox. They were theoretically buying Bitcoin with the money, and there was enough money coming in to cover withdrawals, and it wasn't really that big of a deal. Then the Willy bot went fucking nuts, and price just exploded higher, and Karpellis was caught. I mean, that's the irony of all of this, is that I think somebody knew Karpellis was, basically, it was a short squeeze, is what it was, because he was supposed to be taking customer money and, of course, going and buying Bitcoins, and they'd look at it at their account and go, hey, look at me, I'm long 1,000 Bitcoins, right? But it turns out they never were. He had just taken the money and credited the client's account. Look, there, you got 1,000 Bitcoins, way to go. And just went and spent the money on his lifestyle. And as long as Bitcoin just sat in here and nobody ever wanted to withdraw, and maybe there were some buyers and some sellers, on balance, as long as the money just kept flowing in, right? This is a classic Ponzi scheme. Everything was fine. And everything fell apart when Bitcoin went fucking apeshit. Which is so funny. Because they actually say that there was like an algorithm that was let loose here. And that's why this happened. The Willy bot. That's 1,000,000 years ago. Don't hear anybody talking about the Willy bot anymore. So, I was listening to podcasts like I was making reference to there, and I don't hear anybody talking about the cost of production anymore. Nobody! And that really bothers me. And this is what happens in these crazy-ass bull markets in commodities. I've been at this fucking game for 30 years. I had to sit there and pay somebody. I had to pay them money as a stockbroker. Fucking pissed me off. I mean, this is how corrupt this system is. I had to sit there and pay somebody money to tell me. Did I mention that? I had to pay them fucking money out of my own pocket here in 2006, right in here. Continuing education requirements for the Canadian Securities Licensing Registration. You must be educated, even if the education is total horseshit. You must pay us big fat amounts of money to keep the bureaucratic nonsense going. We don't know what we're doing in the marketplace, so the only way we can justify our existence is to tax the industry. Oh! Someone grab that soundbite. No more Willy Bot replaced with Tether FUD. Yeah, remember Tether FUD? That was fun. Hey, look at that. I already got somebody who wants to assist it. But are you inside the site? If you're outside the site, can't do it. Sorry, less pie. Inside site, people only. All right. So anyway, point here is what is the point? Point is that, they always say the best cure for high prices is high prices. I hope people understood that, just to put this into context, I traded copper for years and years and years all through this period here. And the rule was that copper above $1 was expensive. And the copper below 65, 70 cents was cheap. That was basically the rule. So here we are up at $3, $4, $5. Why did this happen? Chinese Olympics. Building out the Chinese economy. That was the whole pitch. And they basically said, well, it's a whole new world order. You don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Broker that's been trading forever. I'm a university-educated professional. The industry has deemed me smart, and so whatever I say trumps whatever you think. Pay me your fee to keep your license. And if you don't, then get the fuck out of the industry. I mean, it's such a beautiful example of how bureaucracy works and how completely stupid bureaucrats are. Just stunningly stupid. Which scares the hell out of me about guys like this Klaus and my dear leader in my country. He's a fucking high school teacher. How on earth is he going to understand economics? I mean, how is he going to understand the nuances of the shit that I've literally spent 35 years now of my life studying every fucking day? I mean, you guys even watching this YouTube channel, you know how dedicated I am to this life. I live it 24 fucking 7. I think I even said, I was dreaming about one of you YouTubers writing a book about the notes that you were taking. So I just sit there and listen to somebody who is deemed educated justify, and this is the worst part about what happens in bubbles, is that even the quote-unquote smart people, they start justifying different valuation metrics to justify, oh yes, well, Bitcoin's a buy at $60,000. Bitcoin at $60,000 is cheap. Oh, come on. I mean, it's the same shit. It's just different pile, people. Nothing's different here. And you know the worst part about everybody in the public getting sucked into buying the corn at fucking 50, 60 G's? Listening to stupid fucking I swear, people are drug addicts in this space. You know that? I mean, you watch them. I mean, they're fucking. If it's not actual crystal meth or cocaine or heroin or whatever, maybe it's just pure endorphins and shit. But these people don't act rationally at all. And the worst part about it is, as price goes higher, the circle jerk gets tighter and tighter. You start saying things you start hearing people that you thought were educated go, well, technical analysis doesn't matter. Oh, no. God. Okay. So there's your backdrop. Party. I see a lot of similarities here. What I would simply say is don't try and get sucked into this nonsense up here. I tell you, man, if you can just somehow zoom out and just somehow see this is what you need to see. Especially, you level oneers, you just did this. Can you see all of the damn W's? W, 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 by the W, W, W. I mean, you want to try and time your purchases? I'm a slick trader. Okay, you can come in, but wait for the bloodshed. And it's kind of funny, I'm doing this as a bar chart here today because the kids in the level 1 class are calling me a bar chart-asaurus. But all the principles that we use for candlesticks, you can use on bar charts, same thing. But, at least, in this kind of scenario, you can see the M. I've told you guys, if you ever see the market smiling at you, watch out. And actually, I did come in here. I remember the day we came in and we bought a company called Tech down here when copper absolutely collapsed. So you want to start seeing these kind of W's and stepping in and buying? Okay, cool. But for God's sakes, don't chase, don't chase, don't chase, don't chase. I mean, and like I said, what's worse is that in this top market here, you actually get industry bureaucrats that are incentivized to keep the fucking orgy going. They actually start changing their story and they start saying, you know what, fundamentals don't matter. No, that was the worst part about it is he was actually changing the fundamentals that, $5 copper, you could justify certain grades where you just never could justify them in years gone by. And sure enough, it was a fugazi. The problem with this current market right now is, you kind of look at that and go, well, Brian, gee whiz, that sure looks like a bull market. The worst part about it is this world right here, this world is very, very, very different than this world here. These are actually completely different worlds. Like literally, actually it was the 2008, and what a coincidence, right? It was basically China fucking the world here. And how ironic, right? It keeps coming back to how China keeps fucking the world. Because this was the 2008 Olympics. As soon as the Olympics happened, they pulled the plug, and the whole damn capital market collapsed. And then, of course, we had to go into quantitative easing. And to actually understand what this chart really looks like in reality, looking at the actual two worlds side by side, this is what the real chart actually looks like. Isn't that interesting, eh? So, on a relative basis, the value of an ounce of copper right now, you can clearly see that we broke out. Here's that 2008 Olympics. There is that China top. Right? As soon as the Olympics happened, they pulled the carpet out. This is the financial asset crisis right in here, basically U.S. Equity market collapsing. And then, of course, in comes quantitative easing. And they just keep doing more and more and more printing, more and more printing. You think that price is actually going up, right? You look in the newspaper, you turn on the TV, copper prices are at all-time highs. It must be an awesome bull market. There's so much demand for copper. When in reality, actually, that's the image right there. Like a great example is that lumber. Everybody's all excited about lumber right now. Well, there is the newspaper headline number. Well, look at lumber. It's at, 40-year highs. It's a huge bull market. Well, is it really? If you take out the money printing, actually, lumber prices are still, ironically enough, lumber's actually pretty cheap right now. Isn't that incredible? That's scary. Oh, goodness. Anyway. So, there's the world that you live in. It's kind of scary. It is interesting when you sort of take this back to Bitcoin. And we look at Bitcoin relative to fiat from that perspective. There's your bull market. Pretty good looking bull market. That is awfully toppy up there, eh? There's reload zones. So, whatever this old high was here, we all know that was the old 20,000 high, right? So that's probably where we're going to find some sort of support here. How long this takes to develop, you look how long this took here, just from this period here to here, from top to hitting Mountain Man, that was 8 bars. So top 8 bars. We're getting pretty close. It's coming up here pretty soon. Basically, it is this week. Could we tip over here and dump down? Sure. Why not? I mean, it wouldn't be too outlandish. Where's the best place to show this to you? I think... Well, I'd probably just leave that conversation. I think that's pretty straightforward. Monday to Friday, as I had sort of started off this rant with... oh, yeah, that's right. I got off on that damn lumber tangent. I like this bearish ABCD. Brian and his crazy bearish bots. So, 1 high, 2 highs, and this high, it actually has an M in it, right? There's actually 3 highs all in there. And 3 highs, so 1, 2, 3. So that means if I measure this range, and then I just simply duplicate that, then I project it off of that high there. That high is 43,000 even. Wow, that's remarkable. Very rarely see such round numbers like that, eh? 43,000 even, just roughly. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So you can see, I mean, this isn't exact, I suppose. Might as well be exact. One thing Brian's charts definitely are messy. Oops, so gotta get that right on 43 even. And the worst part about this is for trading view is you can't snap to it. Doesn't work. So gotta eyeball it. 59. Oh, there we are. Oh, so close. Well, 2 cents. I'll get there. There we go. All right, let's see what we got. All right, so your entry here is, what does that say? 35, 615 and 3/4. So basically right where we are right now. And you'll be shooting for 13,463. Yuck! What? Oh, you cocksucker. That seems a bit much. I suppose anything can happen here. We have a rule, we used to call it an RJ, and then that was politically incorrect, so we changed it to LJ. And then I talked to the person that we changed it to, and she's like, well, I don't use that setup anymore, so I think we'll change it back to RJ. It doesn't matter. At least, I mean, he isn't very politically correct anymore, so it doesn't really matter. In fact, we should probably change it to just trendline break. I don't know. Change it to... Why don't you get serious, Beamish? Quit fucking around. You're wasting our time. Anyway, our rule is that if we get structural signal, especially below this little trend line, because you can see 1, 2, 3. Look how the market came down to it, went beyond it. You can really see the market is fighting like the dickens to hold on to this. So you can also see too, we do have this M working here. I mean, it's there. It's there. It's square. Get used to it. So, as I said earlier, this is looking heavy. This is not a market that I would be in a big hurry to buy whatsoever. The question ultimately is how dumpy does the dump look? But I had sort of pointed this out on the site earlier. I said that because I'm going to point this out in this show here today and basically reveal the plans of the 1%, I think the odds that this actually plays out are pretty low. So, I gotta say, as a person who wouldn't have an opinion and who shouldn't have an opinion, I just gotta be short that level and risk up against a break of 43,000 to the upside. I mean, it's just that simple, really. And if we do dump down into here, I don't think this happens, but it is interesting how I don't know when the Deribit June options expiry is. But I do find it fascinating that I still do have on the books 16,000 June puts for the corn. So I'm just going to leave this on this screen. I mean, don't have an opinion. Of course, everybody's hating me for saying all this shit, right? But don't have an opinion. Let's just see what the hell happens. I still have those June puts. Who knows? Maybe they'll actually expire. Actually worth something. That would be funny. So, that's what's staring me in the face. And that's until we actually start going down, up, down, breakout, and actually confirming W's. Notice, down, up, down, never got through this high. Failed. So that didn't happen. Then, maybe here, down, failed. Never got through that high. So, I mean, show me some sort of W. Go and W out here, break this out, and let's start. And then I can, in the videos tomorrow, I can come back and go, okay, well, it looks like they've broken this bearish pattern, and away we go. But right as it stands right now, this son of a bitch is pointing down. So just be careful here. And by the way, El Salvador has now officially moved to the Bitcoin standard. Should we all be moving to El Salvador? Would that be a good thing or a bad thing? I noticed I went on El Salvador real estate, and they're still pretty damn expensive. So I don't know. What are you saying? Show June 2019 high. June 2019 high, and down in here, 2020. 2019 high. Oh, this was when Adam went fucking crazy on me here. Oh man, I remember that. I mean, I'm not quite sure what I'm worried about here, right? And I've seen this happen before. In fact, I remember when I was in Europe, this happened, where people just sort of got comfortable with even now, okay, Bitcoin's not 20 G's. All right, fine. And then it comes down, and it's sort of sitting between about 6 and 10 G's, and people can kind of live with that, right? I got a funny feeling there's this, and then there's one more dump where the thing literally loses half of its value, and this is what actually breaks all the crypto kids' hearts, and ironically enough, that's actually at the exact moment the thing ultimately is bottoming. And then if we actually look at the numbers here right now, that kind of aligns. It's the same sort of thinking. And I got to get to the fucking questions. Quit talking, Brian. So I do like the idea sideways, sideways, sideways. 30, 35 G's. Remember we said cost of production is somewhere, in my opinion, around 10 G's right now. They're not going to take Bitcoin to the cost of production after the next halving, that is. They're not going to take Bitcoin to the cost of production. We didn't see that before. The price is about 1,000 or so above it. So, if we know that the next halving cost of production is $10,000 floor, that means the ultimate floor on this thing is probably somewhere around 12, 13, 14,000. And what's so sad is at that point, people are going to be all depressed. Oh, you remember when Bitcoin was $200,000, $300,000? I mean, it's cliche the way this shit works. So, usually Bitcoin corrects about 90%. So if we bottom at, say, 15,000, then that would mean the top is what? 150,000? 200,000? Somewhere in there? Willy woo kind of numbers? Yeah, so I do like the idea that, they're going to bump along here, and that 13,000 is actually not a bad sort of floor level for the corn. But I don't think we're going to go this quickly. I think what's going to happen here is we're going to go, oh, no, then back up, then, and then I think there's the big dump into the end of the year. Well, no, into probably early fall. Because if we look at those old historical comparisons like this one right here, I hear a lot of people saying, man, this is just like 2013. So there's the peak, April, then May, June, July, August. It's sort of bottom there, right? July, August. So this peaked in April. We peaked this go round in May. Was it May or April? April. Okay, so it was April. So that if this is the same scenario, then that means that probably middle of July, that's when we have our final sort of leg down here, July, August, I guess, somewhere in that area. And then we get ready for the fall insanity. But I kind of like that thinking, I really do. Okay, so let's get on with these questions. Got about an hour, and then I'm off to the boar. So, number one, can you cover the second and third part of the last question from last week, question 12? All right, hello, Brian, and loved one. Of course, you said at the end of the fear cycle and beginning of the greed cycle, this means that stocks should be at the bottom, showing up move, and commodities should be at the top, ready to go down. But I look at SPY, it looks like a top, not a bottom. So maybe I have to check SPM2. In that case, we can see that we can still move up, but then I have to do the same for commodities using gold M2, but gold M2 shows a bottom and not a top. Can you explain? Can you please clarify? Well, there's a lot of people that think, and I'm one of them, that gold had its lunch eaten by a certain cryptocurrency this go round. So actually, if you do like a gold and Bitcoin sort of combined study, you get a really interesting looking chart. So I would suggest you do that. Remy Bricka is combine a gold and a Bitcoin chart. And you get it's a fascinating study. I don't know whether I have it handy. I think it's like under macro. Gold Dow, gold BTC Dow. Let's see what we get here. Yeah, there we go. So here is gold, and then this is gold plus Bitcoin. You can kind of see, we're in that fear apex peak. Gold on its own just didn't really do much here this go round. So what I did was I took this study and I overlaid it with a combined gold Bitcoin chart from sort of the start of official Bitcoin hood, and you get this image. And really 1-to-1 is what I'm thinking here, and that is just how many hard assets does it take to buy one paper asset, and vice versa. How many paper assets does it take to buy one hard asset? So, Remy, are you here? Hello? Come in, Tokyo? Right. So, the point of this exercise, Remy, I'm going to leave it at that since you're not here, is I want you to think about gold, all these markets. I mean, really, they're evolving over time. Nothing's set in stone. So, gold plus BTC versus paper. Oops. Wait a minute, what's going on? Paper asset. Down. Oops. too much work. Okay, what do you got here? Boom, 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 boom. This is SPY divided by M2. Yeah, sounds about right. I think I've talked to you guys lots about this. Go look at the 1930s and 40s stock market. Looks almost identical. And unfortunately, fortunately for the U.S., that was before the days of the Fed. Yeah, this is the gold divided by M2. You know, the sad part about it is I think there are so many people that used gold as a hedge and were expecting this to happen when, I think you can make the argument that the bankers have basically stolen probably trillions of dollars. I think a lot of people seeing this said, all right, well, let's go buy gold because we know the U.S. dollar is worthless. And I think, do yourself, you want a fun analogy, go ask Da Vinci what he thinks. About whether the gold and silver markets are slightly manipulated. Because I think, yeah, it's totally realistic. There was no fucking way they were going to let gold rally here. And sure enough, they found an alternative. A Bitcoin. So, hopefully that helps. Okay, number 2. In your opinion, does there have to be one big crash in the stock market or a lot of sideways before the next greed cycle has to start? Well, hate to say it, folks. Greed cycle's already started. It's happening right in front of your eyes. I warned you guys about Joe Granville, but he, obviously current level oneers, you haven't been working with me long enough. You're probably like, what? But, all the site veterans, people have been working me over the past few years. I think the greed cycle's already started. I can see it. Look at the way these silly tech stocks are acting. That is the greed cycle. Paper assets. People are piling into paper assets. The sad part about it, though, is we have this, the end of the last generation, and the end of the fear cycle is always very fearful. That's why I call it the fear cycle. You all need to be shitting your pants. Please stand up, turn around, look at your pants, take a whiff. If they don't smell like shit, then we're not there yet. You have to be shitting your pants. You may even fucking die through this. How do you think the people in Stalingrad felt in 1942? Oh, I just bought a riverfront condo in downtown Stalingrad, dear. We put all of our retirement money into it because we're thinking, oh, it's so pretty. Stalingrad is a really nice place to retire for. What the fuck just happened? The funny thing is us in the West, we got off fucking easy. Somebody go and ask, how did things go in Nanking in 1939, 1940? Oh, dear God in heaven. It's literally like all hell breaks loose. How about, anybody's a fan of the U.S. Civil War? Just imagine if you were part of Pickett's Charge, 1862. How was that? You literally watched 10,000 of your brethren all beside you, all march insanely to their deaths in 1 hour. 10,000 men just blindly walk straight into a hail of bullets. and we're gone forever. A whole generation of the South instantly evaporated. That's the kind of environment we're in right now, people. This could get really nasty. And the worst part about it is we're not done yet. There's probably another good year of this shit to go. I just hope to God somebody can control Winnie the Pooh over there. Because if not, we might not live through this. We'll see how it goes. And the worst part about it is my country, the guy who's running my country right now, he kind of likes Winnie the Pooh. Which is like, oh dear God in heaven, you can't be serious. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if half the people that live right around me are all CCP agents. They're all, you know, one guy I was hanging out with recently, he was telling me, I won't even tell you some of the stories. It's just, it's just over the top. It's like, you can't be serious. So, you know, I think that half the reason why, like Vancouver here, you wouldn't know that there was any COVID with all the development that's going on here. You would think that this was a booming economy. It makes no sense whatsoever, but it makes perfect sense in CCP world because they have these 5-year plans where, you know, sound economic principle, that doesn't mean anything. If you're told to jump, you jump. It's as simple as that. If you are told to jump, not only do you jump, but you ask how high you should jump. And how high you have the privilege to jump for dear leader. Dear leader's actually giving you the privilege to jump. Oh, you lucky citizen, you. God. I tell you, man, I don't know whether I'm going to live through this. My horoscope says I am, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting. These are tough times, folks. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's tough times. But to answer your question, I think the next greed cycle has already started. The only question is, can the banksters pull off the Fugazi transition of just simply adding a zero to everything and all the people from the previous generation just get fucked up the ass, which basically any American citizen who bought the idea of buying U.S. Treasury bonds, buying into your country, buying into your government, buying into the Constitution, all that, they're getting absolutely raped here. And the worst part about it is I'm seeing more and more anecdotal. The Fed is slowly sending out news that they're no longer going to be doing these, like, you know, endless bond purchasing programs. Now I'm hearing that, oh, actually they're going to be net sellers of some bonds. Oh, Jesus Christ, here we go. And ironically enough, this is actually what's going to derail this whole crazy insanity here in Vancouver real estate market. So, get ready, folks. Neither a debtor nor a lender be. Don't be caught holding any bags. Be well diversified. I don't think it's a good idea to actually even be like this guy, though, because, you know, like the U.S. government in the 1930s came out and said, sorry, if you are a U.S. citizen, it's illegal for you to own gold, and you have to surrender your gold at a substantially discounted price. That could very easily happen here. I could see Bitcoin run up to $1 million. The U.S. government come out and say, all right, if you are a U.S. citizen, we will officially buy your Bitcoins off of you for $100 a Bitcoin. I could easily see that. So don't be like this guy and just assume, oh, I'm going to go bury my head in Bitcoin and I'm going to be totally safe. That's just as stupid as buying into like dog money. And it's just as stupid as like the typical U.S. citizen that just said, well, I'm going to buy the U.S. government treasuries. They pay a nice coupon. I believe in my country. I believe in my government. They'll take care of me in retirement. Well, I hate to say it. Going all in on Bitcoin is really the same kind of conversation. Works great in a bull market. And keep in mind, U.S. Treasuries have been in a bull market for like 40 years now. It works great in a bull market, but in a bear market, oh boy. And the worst part about crypto, man, when crypto goes into a crypto winter, oh boy, it gets cold out there. Because there's nobody in the public to you cry on your shoulder. You know, when Bitcoin rolls over, and Joey Diamond's daughter goes to him and goes, Dad, no, Bitcoin's down. What do you think Joey Diamond does at that point? So, you know, be careful here in crypto, people. And unfortunately, you know, that's Brian, you know, financial planner, stockbroker, commodity broker, pit trader. I mean, like, I want you to survive through, because everybody loves the fun times in the market, dog money, all that shit, right? But nobody talks about the winters. Nobody talks how cold it can get. I'm always that kind of like, oh, how bad can bad get? Okay, well, make damn sure don't put yourself into a position where bad can really hurt too hard. So, I think I've told you guys before, I actually think this cycle has started. And I think that, if we look at it in real terms, this is where we are. I think that the Great Depression was basically that generation's similar cycle. And I've been talking about this for like 20, 30 years. So nothing has changed here whatsoever in my thinking. The only thing that's changed here is that they've hidden this. They've covered it up with the dilution and the printing of currency. And the only way they could get rid of or get away with this was because the US dollar was the hegemony currency of the world. If it was anybody else, any other currency, there's no fucking way in hell they would have been able to get away with this. But they have. So, this is a greed cycle. This is fear cycle. We transition out of the fear cycle into the next greed cycle. I mean, you tell me. Whoever has asked this question. Are housing prices going up? Yeah. How about grocery prices? Yeah. Stock prices. Everything is going up. It's happening. Klaus wants you not to be invested. He wants you heavily in debt. He wants you are his bitch. He will own your equity, and of course he will become substantially wealthy through this event. This is happening. It's like literally happening as we speak. Here we are. So here is the real-time chart. Same thing. So this was that roaring 20s. This was the baby boomers. This was that was their greed cycle. This is the end of the Cold War. This is their fear cycle. This is bringing China online, selling their souls out to keep prices relatively stable. And now China's saying, "Fuck you! We're not holding the bag. Give us our money back." And the Americans going, "Okay, fine. Dilute." But in essence, the path is exactly the same. There's really almost no difference here. There's 1940s America. Here is 2020s America. And I honestly believe that is what's coming from us in the future. It's going to be big. And the worst part about it, right, is because they the newspaper shows you the headline price print. There it is. Boom, way up there. Dow Jones Industrial Average. And you say, okay, well, maybe we're going to do these ebb and flow kind of moves, right? And according to this, we probably need to go back and forth for probably, a few years as we work our way through COVID. The problem here is that, this down move here, you might not even see it in this because they just keep diluting, keep printing. Isn't Biden lobbying for another $6 trillion in printing? I mean, where's that money come from? So just for this to stay equal, if he goes and dilutes the currency by another $6 trillion, which is I think about 20-30% dilution, well then that means just for this thing to stay equal, it's got to go up 20-30%. So that would take us up to 40,000 or so. And the irony of it all is this thing's just going to move sideways. I mean, I tell you, man, it's incredible the crime that they've gotten away with here. And this is so difficult. We share this one video on the site to try and understand how markets work called the Money Masters video. And actually, if you follow the YouTube page, I'm so pleased that it's still there. I'm surprised. But if you go to our TRI page, I've actually included down here what I would consider required educational materials. And there is the Money Masters video. If you haven't watched it,
privately owned.
You have to watch this to understand how the money system works. And the problem is that it's so complicated and it's very detailed. And the people that are running this know that if they make it just enough complicated, the public will just be like, oh, that makes my head hurt thinking about it. And they just stop thinking about it because it just makes their head hurt. And then, if they actually see how bad really is, then they're like, oh, God, I don't want to know that. No, don't tell me this. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. So if you really want to know, and unfortunately that's half of knowing Brian, is that I'm the type of guy that I really want to know. Go watch this documentary. And you might want to save that documentary because I'm actually surprised 8 years later it's still on there. And notice it only has 39,000 views 8 years ago, and yet it's probably the most informative video I have ever watched on YouTube. Ever. And yet it has so few views. So go figure. Then there's Josh. You should give Josh a hug. He's such a cutie. Josh, you better be fucking kicking ass on your VCIMs and I want to buy a Tesla with you, you bastard. Anyway, so there's our fun little TRI Top 100 Crypto Review. Like I said, I'm going to do this on Wednesdays. And if you get any value out of this show, tip us with the manas on that address I provide in there. And we're going to build out our Decentraland little abode. And that'll be cool because I want to have like all of these. It's cool. Like, I don't know whether I can show you in these YouTube videos, but if you go to Decentraland, you go to the Aaron's little pad there, which I would pretty much want to sort of contract him to do. They've got like this huge TV with and I don't know if they paid Sinatra or his estate to be able to run the videos, or it's open source. I don't know. But I think it would be so cool just to run the TRI videos just there. Just have them running all day long. I bet you go there and you just see people just sitting there watching. That'd be a lot of fun. And we want to do the coin pushers. I got a guy on the site who's figured out how to do the coin pushers. So we gotta get the place in Decentraland, and then we gotta get the coin pushers going, and then with the videos there, man, the TRI booth, that's gonna be a really popular place in Decentraland. Anyway, I haven't thought of Decentraland in a while, and it was great hooking up with Aaron there to be reminded about it. Okay. Actually, I've shown you guys this image before, right? So that is exactly what I'm talking about. Are you living in a simulation, Fugazi? Or are you living in the real world? What is value? It's quite shocking, really. But that's a great image. Here, do you want to know the truth? I mean, that's the sad part about it. Do you really want to know the truth? So where is but how do you get Bitcoin to 300 million gazillion dollars? Okay, I'm gonna put this as Brian's helper guide. So I don't know how to get rid of that number though. There's that one. And this one. Hopefully these two images help you understand. Tell you, it's not easy. It ain't easy being green. Right, where are we? Where did that go? Nope. Here. So, think about those two images. Hopefully that helps a bit. And yeah, I actually think that the next big greed cycle has already started, and you better get your shopping list out there. I'll tell you, I'm buying lots and lots of equity. I mean, fuck, I'd buy Bitcoin if it came back down to 10, 20 G's. Totally. I've got stink bids working. I'd be more than happy to be a buyer. Hey, there you guys. Oh, man, Money Masters is a required watch. Yeah, it should, Kevin, definitely. Absolutely. This is one epic documentary. Yeah, it is. Yeah, probably BT. So all you guys, try and save this, okay? I know. That's great, eh? El Salvador is now officially moved to Bitcoin. Oh, goodness. All right. And no, I don't think it'll work that way. It will be that the U.S. will say U.S. citizens are not allowed to own Bitcoins. And the only way the U.S. can fuck you is they fuck their own citizens, right? And the worst part about it is they really fuck their own citizens. I mean, you can't even go overseas, right? They still want to tax you. So it'll just be their own citizens. Okay, also you mentioned some countries are lucky to be going through a deflationary cycle right now. Can you give some examples? Yeah, well, we have one guy in the day trading room who works and lives in Vietnam, and I guess a lot of the sort of marginal third world countries that were just sort of trying to come back online, that were servicing the tourist industry, they're probably the areas that you'll see deflation because they just don't have any other business, and so it'll just go right back to sort of what was the base economy originally. Things like agriculture, fishing. That's really what the economies were based on. So like I said, Vietnam I think would be a good example. Probably up in Cuba might be an interesting example. What's happening internally there? Maybe some interesting how we're having this conversation about El Salvador here today. That would be a good example. So some of the Central American companies. I don't know about South America. And it's interesting. I haven't chatted about it in a bit, but it's probably worth mentioning. Still love the TRI Hawaii Adventure Retreat Program. Am running into some regulatory hurdles with people that would like to participate that are not quote-unquote accredited investors. It's just kind of a pain in the butt. So all those people that did reach out, we still have the list, and Zach and I are still working away on the project. We have to figure out that. But what's interesting too is I don't think Hawaii is the end of this journey. And the only reason why I picked Hawaii is because, frankly, I'm very afraid of being in non-hard asset denominated assets here right now. What I mean by that is if interest rates do start going up dramatically, there could be a massive economic crunch, especially through the third world and any sort of non-U.S. friendly regions of the world. There could be just an absolute massive economic disaster just looming here. That's basically what happened in the early 1980s. Interest rate driven, so it's not like you can blame any politician. I've already told you guys, I've seen it repeatedly. I think that the interest rate market in the U.S. has turned. And, of course, the U.S. is driving the whole damn world economy. So that's primarily the reason why I like Hawaii. If you happen to be down in southern Florida, I've also reached out to guys like Joe Z, who's down in the southeast. Again, U.S. dollar denominated, and fascinating, right? I think I'm about the only person, especially at TRI, I'm the only person who's actually bullish of the United States of America right now, I think. Everybody that I talk to, of course, talk to a lot of people that are Europeans, and obviously they're going to be biased towards their country. But relatively speaking, I'd much rather have my money inside the United States than anywhere else in the entire world right now. So that's a huge driver of this sort of TRI Hawaii idea. Is I actually think that's the best place to have money invested. And if I was running a mutual fund, and I'm not even quite sure how to do this, I mean, maybe what I should do is I should just set out like a crowd fund and just, instead of me pitching you the idea of investing in TRI and the real estate deal, just raising a bunch of money as a sort of a private investor and just saying, hey, you know what? I think that there is really good money to be made investing in this. I mean, it might be a cryptocurrency. It might be a stock. It might be land in Hawaii that we're going to develop. Right? What's interesting about the property in Hawaii is it's actually a guaranteed double in value. Because the land is about 800 G's or so. And all the comps of houses similar size that are around there, they go for about $3 or $4 million. So, buy the property for $1 million or so, including all the utilities and shit to just get it up and running. Throw up a house for $700,000-800,000, and instantly the property is appraised at twice the value that you bought it and paid and invested in it. So, ironically enough, from an investment perspective, the idea is really simple. It's a regulatory problem that if you don't have accredited investors, and that's sort of Big Brother's way to try and keep the poor people out of investment game. But if you don't have accredited investors, then, oh my goodness, the regulatory hurdles just go through the roof. So that's sort of why I've been stalling here a little bit. So I do have to, just FYI, all you people that did reach out to me and say that you wanted to participate, I had a really great conversation with another one of my OGs who's like, yeah, all right, I'll come in. Ironically enough, if we actually just left it to the people, and maybe you, the people, should tell me, do we want to just do like a coin ICO or something, or, like this, a smart contract, and just lock it in on the blockchain, raise the money, and then we as a group go and do something with the money. I've already got the prospectus. It's just a question of I don't know how to get over this U.S. regulatory problem. What is a security? So that's sort of where I am with that. I just wanted to come clean with you guys, anybody watching, what the status of all that is. So, ironically enough, got lots of people interested. Just have to somehow deal with the legalese. Okay, so hopefully I answered question 3 there, and I also threw in a little bit about my sort of thoughts. The reason why I'm mentioning this is that I actually am really worried about investing in international assets and international countries where, number one, I don't speak the language. Number 2, I don't know what the legal system is. Number 3, I don't know what the local currency is. Number 4, I don't know what the local government's propensity is to nationalize foreigners' investments in the country, etc., etc., etc. It's just a hell of a lot of risk. So I actually if I'm going to put my money to work somewhere in the market for the next 10, 15 years, I actually like investing in USA Inc. Which, of course, is exact opposite to what everybody else in the world thinks, which is perfect for Brian. This is exactly like at the top of the .com market. Everybody was buying USA and buying growth and buying Nortels and Cisco's and Intels and Microsofts and all that shit. And I was out there going, no, you got to buy gold, you got to buy oil, you got to buy commodities, you got to buy the Canadian dollar. And everybody's like, what? Are you fucking couldn't give away Canadian real estate in the 1990s. You couldn't give it away. People would laugh in your face if you said, hey, come and invest and buy my Canadian real estate. I mean, just even the words coming out of my mouth sound stupid. But I don't know what the fuck's going on. I mean, it's the biggest con job I've ever seen in my life, what's going on here locally in Vancouver right now. But oh well. So, interesting how the Hawaii project ties into this whole conversation here. And then I do believe that following this COVID crisis, there is going to be, I would imagine, maybe 5-10 years of serious economic pain, Great Depression kind of pain, to try and unwind all this insane lending, emergency lending, and people that haven't paid rent in like years, and working all of that through the legal system so that the banks ultimately do get their money. And of course, like you're saying there, Aditya, it would be through that window. Bitcoin's coming back down, trading at or near cost of production. Nobody's interested in risk assets. Stock market's on its knees. And we're in there hunting value plays. And when nobody's interested in buying crypto, right? That's how it goes. Okay, can you give examples of countries that have gone through high inflation like Venezuela right now and how they are able to remedy it? Geez. Not really. I mean, usually what ends up happening is you have to go through long periods of government austerity. So probably the best sort of recent example, probably is Greece. So Greece is a really interesting neighborhood. Yeah, and that's the problem, Ice, is that real estate's been bid up very expensive very quickly, eh? So the voice that I made at 54:30 makes somebody want to blow their brains out. Oh, wonderful. Well, yeah, but Ididi, I hate that bullshit. Because what ends up happening is, price goes zooming up. Cost of production doesn't really move that much, right? If you go back to those cost of production kind of charts, they don't move egregiously. And then also too, remember, as we go through time, they're not moving that much. But it's the happening. Does the cost of production here jump, right? And that's a doubling right there. So, but notice that, and keep in mind, there was 13s, 11s, 9s, 7s, 3s, 1s, whatever. I don't know what the numbers are, but you know what I'm talking about. All of these bands are higher and higher and higher. And by the time we actually get to the next happening event, there'll be 21s, 23s, 30s, 50s, whatever, right? So this is a constant floating number, but just try and see the forest through the trees. This is what kills me about these kind of stories, is that people don't step back and, just sort of say, okay, is it a good idea to chase when you see this kind of movement dramatically away from these lines? The answer's got to be no. But so what? I mean, it's just Brian. I mean, I'm a value guy, right? So what I've noticed is that this is a great framework when the sky's falling, and it will be falling. I mean, that's just the way these commodity markets go. When the sky is falling, this will be a good sort of reference. Well, probably odds are we don't go below these levels. That's the way I would look at it. All right, let's keep moving this train forward. What time is it? Yeah, I got to get out of here in about 20 minutes. So, okay, so hopefully I gave you an idea there. I would say if we can pull this off, but this is... Problem is, this is such a huge pivot, right? The only similarities right now are 1942. And you remember in 1942, people were not thinking about the Great Depression anymore. They were not thinking about the stock market crash of 29. Their conversations were completely different, and it turned into basically murdering. War, death. That's how bad and how ugly this human story can get. 45 million people needlessly murdered. Go back 80 years prior to that, 1862, trying to dismantle this thing called the Union that had the audacity to actually suggest that humans actually had inalienable rights. Can you believe it? And what kills you is that Charles guy, he's advocating for the global reset and Klaus is advocating for the global reset, but do you think that they actually look at you and I as equal citizens on this planet? Charles? You gotta be kidding me. So, probably the best thing that could have happened for us humans was if that Epstein guy, actually the truth had come out about that, and the royals had actually had the truth come out. Because wasn't the royals directly implicated with that Epstein guy? So it's too bad we didn't have any pictures. That would be great if you had a royal in some sort of 3G or something with a couple girls still in diapers. Wow, that would probably, the irony of it all is that would actually clean up a lot of social ills in this world, because if you could somehow transfer that wealth from the British monarchy even into the British treasury just to try and clean up their debt situation, it would probably make Britain a pretty powerful country. So make no mistake about it. Yeah, they say, global reset. But global reset just simply means the 1% is just trying to take more and more control. And what'll probably happen is once they sort of get control of the sickness, they've diluted the shit out of the old money system. So the old debt is a fraction of what the real debt is now. What the fraction of what the real economy is now because of all the new money printing. That is interesting. One of the Canadian chartered banks here right now has, look at this. I mean, this is shocking. This doesn't make any sense. This company, let's see, how can I show you this? This company has theoretically an oligopoly situation within our country, which means that there is no competition for these companies. Look how much cash this company has on the books. $427.58 per share in cash. Why on earth does this Canadian chartered bank, so this is a bank that technically can't go out of business. If these banks get into trouble, the government will come and bail them out. So how on earth does this company get $427 per share? Right? They got 448 million shares out. So cash on the books, does it even say here? Well, I guess you have to do the math. I mean, it doesn't make any sense what's going on here. Other than, does it make sense that maybe they're getting ready for some sort of massive default? So if the shit hits the fan immeasurably, they can absorb damage. Does that make sense? Something does not smell right about this at all. Why does this company have this much cash? How much cash is this? I mean, this is staggering amount of money. 427 times, right? Basically 500 million. And we'll just round it out, right? This company has, what is that? $213 billion in cash? Just sitting on the books? What the fuck is going on here? Doesn't that seem a bit odd to you? Seems a bit odd to me. That's a fucking hell of a lot of loonies. And this is the U.S. price quote, so that's not even, that's U.S. dollars. So times 1.2 or 1.3, right? So there's something screwy going on here. Something doesn't make sense. I don't know. I mean, look at that price chart. You tell me. I think that thing's kind of gone one directional. Is it maybe a time for this thing to have maybe a nice 50% pullback here? What do you think? So, anyway. I don't know. Something stinks about all this shit. I'll tell you that much, bike crackers. Stinky, stinky, stinky. So, to answer your question, I would look at like countries like Greece. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Ice. The 1% are up to no good. Something's fishy about all this. Very, very fishy. And I got a funny feeling that they're expecting interest rates to ratchet higher. And I have a feeling they're expecting that there's going to be a massive wave of foreclosures and bankruptcies by the public over, say, the next 5 years or so. Something just does not sit right here with me at all. And frankly speaking, I really want to get my money the fuck out of this country and get it invested in something like, Hawaiian real estate. I wouldn't mind having my money just sitting there in a big chunk of land in the United States of America. So when this whole fucking third world China influenced economy collapses, keep in mind, these Chinese, man, they're brutal when they fucking pull. You guys think rug pulls are bad in crypto? Oh my goodness. China does rug pulls on national basis. I don't know whether did you guys see that copper chart? Did any of you see that copper chart I showed you earlier? And this is one of the biggest commodities in the world. This was a China rug pull. It was, without a shadow of a doubt. And not only that, I had to sit and fucking pay some stupid Canadian bureaucrat to tell me that this was actually cheap up here. Fuck you. Jesus Christ. What a dickhead. Right? There was 2008. And this is the China rug pull. Boom. So, see, the thing is that BT, I don't think it's going to be that bad in the U.S. I think that, I don't know whether you saw in the last March. Wade, you're here locally? Oh, we should get together. We had a really cool meetup with some locals here. I showed you the picture of Aaron and Andrew. They're both local here. So if you want to hang out with some cool crypto dudes, reach out. So, if you want some historical reference of how bad gets and how you have to sort of restructure company or countries when they go under and stuff, I would look into the way that Greece was handled when it collapsed. So Ireland, that was another one. Remember, there was a run on the Irish banks, Northern Trust. I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be some runs on. I wouldn't even be surprised if there's going to be runs on Canadian banks here. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Yeah, no, we did Seymour. It was Mount Seymour. So, yeah, you had a 33% chance there, Wade. You got the two that we didn't do. Way to go. But if I told you it was Whistler, then you know I was bullshitting. All right. Well, anyway, so I would look into the way that the Greece story played out, and I would look into the way that the Irish, the way that story played out. That's what I think is going to happen here over the next sort of 4 or 5 years with these Western nations. Number 5. Hi, Brian. Can you show us the correlation between the fib spiral and fib retracement on TA? What the heck's he got here? Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I haven't done these damn spirals in forever. I tell you what, Esther, why don't we work on this through the week? Because there's a lot of math involved. In fact, I think, you have it right here. I mean, there's a ton of math that you have to do to make sure that the spiral is drawn correctly. So I don't even want to get into that now. Like I said, I got to head off to Liam here. I don't want to spend the half an hour drawing it all out and measuring all the damn angles and stuff. So if you are Asta, if you are on the site and you want to chat with me through the week, well, let's do it as a project together, okay? Number 7, can you please explain how the analysis, the breadth chart, and tables in the dashboard? What is the difference between short-term versus mid-term? Let's talk about that tomorrow on the Daily Brief, okay? And that's not really part of the education program. That's more sort of like site tools. But whoever asked this question, ask me in the Daily Brief, and we can go through this in the Daily Brief, okay? Number 8, hi Brian. I came back to the question I had last week because we did not finish it. I was referring to the fact that we should exit a fear cycle and enter in a great cycle. Well, greed. I don't know whether it's going to be great. And who knows? Just because it's a greed cycle, that doesn't mean it's going to be great. It might be shitty. It might. I mean, the problem is we live in this world that's overwhelmed with debt. So you're either going to have to do one of two things. You're either going to have to hyperinflate your way out of this debt situation, or you're just going to have to muddle along. And I get the impression that the powers that be, they want to hyperinflate our way out of this problem and just get it done really quickly. If we go about the Japanification route, where they just keep muddling along and nothing really changes, we might just have really stagnant growth for the next, 5-10 years. But you can already see with this COVID nonsense and Biden just basically socialism, rah, 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 rah. I think they're going to go the hyperinflation route. So there you go. So this means that stocks should show bottoms and commodities should show tops. Well, again, it's the question of relative, right? Remember I showed you the chart of whoever asked this question. Are you here right now? Remy Bricka? I just showed you that chart. You said commodities should show tops. Remember I showed you that chart of lumber? I showed you the chart of copper. I mean, we're just now getting back to the same valuations of 5-10 years ago. So in real terms, the prices could go through the roof. But because they've gone and printed the shit out of these damn currencies, you can't see that. So when I look at stocks, I would use SPY divided by M2 to have a realistic view. So logically, I should do the same and use XAU USD divided by M2 for commodities. Oh, it's not bad, but if I do that with gold, show a bottom and not a top. Well, we talked about that. We said that we should look at gold as a classic store of value proxy and say it's been highly manipulated to keep it under wraps. There's a lot of people have bought gold, and if the gold market does go up the way that a lot of people are betting, then I think the United States of America goes out of business. So they're not going to let that happen. So they created this whole brand new thing that they could funnel all of the fear buying power into. What do you think that was? See if anybody's paying attention. What do you think it was? And where's this Remy? Remy Bricka, are you here? Remy Bricka, are you here? Well, no. What was it that they funneled everybody into? We've already had this conversation already once today. So basically the answer is exactly the same. Nothing's changed there. Okay, number 9. Do you ever allocate? Thank you, Paul. Do you ever allocate any of your cash holdings into mutual funds or ETFs for the long term? Or you just keep a large cash stack and trade? I mean, I own mutual funds, but I'll trade the mutual funds just like stocks. So if I see a mutual fund that's got a nice big fat W working, I'll go and buy it. Yeah, same thing, same shit, different pile. We had W's coming in on bonds. And bonds, hell, they pay you interest, right? They got a coupon. And I look at the bond chart and I go, fuck, I don't want to buy bonds. So the most important thing is I look at an asset and ask, what's the propensity of me to make money owning this? If there's a W working, I'm there. But I'm the type of guy, right, that I mean, I don't know how to describe this. Let's see if anybody I mean, first and foremost, let's do a survey on YouTube. YouTube, there's 86 people over there. Is it normal for people to double their money on a consistent basis in the stock market? I.e., banging out doubles. Is that normal? Do people do that every day? Nobody? Is this thing still on? Hello? Come in, Tokyo! Hello? No? No one? Hey, there's a response. It's America. It's not very common. In fact, actually, we got this one guy on the site. He's a local guy, and I like hanging out with him. And he's got a bunch of friends that they fancy themselves as day traders, and he just laughs at them. Because he's sitting here, no, not even Joey. Joey doesn't do that shit. Joey does that shit on insider trading activity. He doesn't know how to fucking pick stocks. It's terrible. I mean, that's why he's a bank drone. I mean, you got to understand, people that work at these damn banks, they're fucking robots. They literally are told, I used to work at these damn banks. You're told the day that you get hired there, turn your brain off now. The only reason why that guy could work his way up through the J.P. Morgan hierarchy and achieve the position that he has is because he's really, really good at playing that corporate game. And he looks like the poster child. You look like the poster child. You know how to play the game. You know exactly when to stick your nose, at least an inch or two, inside of an anal orifice. And sniff very deeply. And then, of course, when you take your nose out, look at the person and say, that smells very beautiful, sir. You can do really, really well in this world. It's remarkable. And I've watched the guy through his whole career. That's basically what I've seen. I mean, the irony, and you know, this is the worst part about capitalism, is it's all a fraud. It's the greater fool's theory. He was one of the biggest proponents of General Electric and Jack Welch, and they made a lot of money doing a lot of financings for GE. And it turns out that most of what Jack Welch did at GE was a total fraud. In fact, GE bought CNBC to make damn sure that the narrative about GE was always positive. That's how brutal capitalism is now. So understand that the whole thing is rigged. It's all a fraud. And ironically enough, the guys at the top of these corporations, they're great at playing the greater fool's theory game. They're really good at this. Are they good stock traders? Are they actually good stock pickers? No, fuck, these people can't fucking pick stocks out their ass. I mean, it's almost funny. Haven't you guys watched over the past 6-8 months me picking apart one after another all these people on YouTube that call themselves stock pickers and shit? There's very few people in the world that could do what I do consistently. I mean, that's the irony of this game. I take it for such granted that everybody can trade and make money from trading, but very few people can. So go figure. They don't follow the process. Come to TRI, learn the process. It makes it so much fucking easier. But nobody ever listens. In fact, this guy that I was telling you about, he tells his buddies, you know, they just keep spinning their wheels because they don't know the damn process. They have opinions. Don't have an opinion when you're trading. Your opinion doesn't mean anything. Oh, well. Okay. So, I'll buy a mutual fund if I see a nice-looking monthly W. In fact, actually, here's an example of a fund that I bought a little while ago. What the hell is it? Pine Tree. This is a small cap mutual fund. And I mean, you tell me, look at that chart. Does that look like the type of chart that Beamish guy is going to be interested in buying? You should just look at that chart and go, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, what do you think? Right? I mean, doesn't that look like it's got Brian written all over it? So this happens to be a small cap, venture cap fund that buys up a lot of these VSE and venture cap names. And of course, this was this was the end of it, but that was that 2006, 2008 Chinese Olympics run up in the venture cap market. How do you think they did? They did pretty well, eh? Then the Chinese pull the carpet out, right? Chinese rug pull. And that's what the Western capitalist markets did following the Chinese rug pull. And we've been basically on our knees for a very long time. But interesting, if you start zooming in, oh, look, actually, you can see bottoms are starting to form. So this is a mutual fund. I went and bought some of it. It's in my account. You want to see, one that just fucking pisses me off to no end. I was so jazzed about this damn Alta gas. Right? This is a utility. You want to see something sick? Well, actually, I can't show you here. But these guys pay just an ungodly dividend. I mean, just a staggeringly high dividend. I don't know whether it shows on here. I guess it doesn't show. And I was super duper jazzed about this thing. Oh, look at that. Actually, wow, the dividend has fallen down. It's only 4% now. That's funny. So here, the dividend was through the roof. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to have this for my registered account. This is easy money. When they pay you like 10, 20% dividend, this is like a natural gas company. Boring utility stock. And look at the goddamn thing. It's like gone up. It's like 2.5 times what I wanted to buy it for. Ugh. So, that would be something that I was there. And I don't know why the hell I didn't pull the trigger. Anybody that's on the site remembers I was squawking about this thing like crazy down there. Fucking pissed me off. So, that's a mutual fund. That's a boring utility. Well, 4% here. Right? 4% here. So they didn't change their payout. So what does that mean? The dividend yield was here. I was like, and this is like a boring utility company, right? This is not supposed to go up like this. It was paying like 8 or 9%. It was like fucking awesome. Natural gas usually does well in recessions, so we're good to go. And I completely missed the trade. Pissed me off. So there's 2 examples, and then. Yeah, I do have a lot of cash. I would much rather, if I'm invested in something, it's because the trade looks good and I'm making money and there's reasons, 3 technical reasons to justify you spending your money, blah, 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 blah. Fundamentals are good, right? You're invested, it's a good story. And then, of course, if I can sell half on a double and just throw the free shit onto a pile, whether it be a mutual fund or an ETF or an index or whatever, even better. But if that's not the case, then I like cash, and I like big honking piles of cash. So that way, if somebody does come along and do a rug pull and prices really get discounted cheaply, I'm playing from a position of strength. So I do like cash. The only problem here is we're in a situation here where I don't think the powers that be want the public to like cash. They're basically have a war on cash. And I think the public has a lot of cash because the system is just dumping tons and tons of cash into the system. And so, hyperinflation's happening because there's just too much money sloshing around. So there's that issue, but that issue doesn't really happen that often. Through this 40-year cycle, usually that happens about 5 years of the 40 years. The rest of the time, cash is relatively stable and nobody's really too concerned about it. It's just we got to somehow get through this generational shift. What the hell does cash look like through this shift? It's not a bad idea if you're sitting on large amounts of cash to maybe buy like a GIC, Guaranteed Investment Certificate, CD, Certificate of Deposit. Something that if a bank actually itself has some troubles, well, no big deal. It's a guaranteed certificate. It's not a bad idea in this kind of environment. Maybe just like 90 day, 180 day, 365 days, something like that, short term. just in case there's something that happens with the banks. Blah. I do not like bank money market mutual funds. They're dangerous because there is no guarantee, bid, or offer on money market funds. So be careful there. Okay, you said in one of your videos that 14-day RSI is a slow indicator. Can you explain more about slowness of the indicator? Yeah, I remember I said in class to ask this question. What I meant by that is if you're trading and let's say, I did the conversation with you guys about RSI in the current module just so you can understand M's and W's in price and in indicators. So for instance, if I put RSI on here, what I really want you to do this particular week, which is super important, is to just simply see M's and W's. Oh, geez. What have I got open here? Okay, so let's go. So, not to go into too much detail. But if I was back in the day when I was trading actively day in, day out kind of thing, there are many different price momentum oscillators that you can use. So that's basically what this is relative strength index is a price momentum oscillator that uses relative position of current price to a reporting period. Something like a Williams percentage R or stochastic, which is basically the same thing. They are also price momentum oscillators, Williams percentage R and stochastic, but they measure relative overbought and oversoldness based on a concept called linear regression. So there's slightly different ways to calculate price momentum. Really, as I had said in this module, the most important thing for you to sort of take away from this module is the idea that, because remember, this is just the basics, we're introducing you. So is the idea of M's, right? Up, down, up, fail. But also you can see M's in your indicators as well. And hopefully you see all these M's. That's the most important thing to take away from this week. As we move forward in the program, and just practice over the next few weeks. And if you want to, you can change this to a line chart, make it a little easier to see those M's and W's. Right? Hopefully you can see that W. And I want for you to be able to see the W's in the indicator. Sometimes they're very hard to see. Might have to zoom in really closely. Now, not really relevant to your education right now, but I did make reference that when I used to trade with RSI, what you'll find is the 14-period RSI, because it's studying such a long period of time, it has more inputs. And so as a result, I've found that it's a bit slower in reacting and changing. So That's what I mean by slow and fast. So here you can see this is the 14-period RSI out of the box. And when I was trading actively, I actually like to speed up RSI to 7 periods. And hopefully what you see, the 14 versus the 7, is the 7's a little bit crisper. Right? You can see it's a little bit sharper in its movements and its breakdowns. And then, like here, for example, it's breaking out of the oversold zone way before the 14 is. And it's putting in W's, moving through the 50 line way faster than the 14. And what I actually found is I personally would prefer to trade linear regression because the signals are much crisper. But what I found is, and to speak to that, the difference between RSI and linear regression and Williams percentage R and stochastics, I'm going to ask you just to wait till we get to the Willy week in the education program, where we break this down quite a bit more and what does a signal look like using Williams percentage R using versus RSI. It's the same logic. But just what I found, and you can kind of see it here. Can you see, like, I'm going to get rid of the Williams percentage R, but what you should see is that the RSI 7 and the Williams percentage R are actually a lot more similar than the 14-period RSI. It's almost like the 14-period RSI, it's like a slow poke. You can already start to see these guys ramping up here as this guy's moving along. So let's see if we can give you a little better example here. Well, it's pretty similar here. Of course, when you always want to do these on the fly, so you never find the example that you are looking for. Here's not a bad one. So here you can see, in this particular case, market's moving down, and notice our fast RSI has gotten itself into the oversold zone. Slow RSI still working its way down and actually made a new low right here. But you notice that the fast RSI is already starting to turn the corner. And if we, stochastics and Williams percentage are going to give you basically the same number. So if we just pull up that Williams percentage R, you can see we're still making new lows here. But notice that Williams percentage R and the fast RSI are actually already starting to turn up here. And actually there's the W there already coming in on these guys. Whereas this guy's still making new lows. So there's not a bad example. Hopefully what you also see, here's another one. So here RSI 14. On this dip here, we were only at 39, but you can see on the 7, we already got into oversold territory. Rant, pay attention. And, like I said, I personally prefer to trade with the Williams percentage R. And you can see Williams percentage R already into the oversold. So this is probably a really good example where RSI 14, it's a bit slow. I mean, it's still sort of floating out here, not in the oversold zone. There's the oversold zone there. But the 7 RSI and the Williams percentage of R have already got into the oversold zone, and I would already start thinking about some sort of counter trend rally, which is in essence this rally window right there. So there's probably a good example. Too slow. I'm a trader. Got to have those crisp signals. Got to have stuff, get me to act. So there's a good example where I've got the market giving me oversold conditions in these fast price moving oscillator momentum indicators, but out of the box 14 still not giving me a signal. So there you go. Hopefully that helps. All right, it's about 20 after 1. I have to be up at Liam's by 2:30, so I think I'll probably leave it at that. I don't think there were any other questions. Where is your page? One of these. Is it this one? No, it's not that one. Where'd it go? All right, now I'm going crazy. It's around here somewhere. Yeah, here we are. All right. Okay. So, hopefully that helped answer your question, Mr. Number 10. And really, most important here, Mr. 10, you're not really, I don't want you thinking about RSI divergences. I don't want you thinking about, oh, this is the best indicator to use and all that. What I want you just seeing are M's and W's in both price and in RSI, in that example, in the week to introduce you to RSI, also in the momentum indicators. That's the most important thing. You need to understand this idea of M's and W's. All right, number 11, level 1 participant here. Enjoyed your socioeconomic demographic analysis from week 1 a lot. Can you recommend more indexes like DJIM2 that are worth checking to study cycles in global sociological dynamic populations well-beings? Whew. Not really. Sorry. The sad part about it is it's impossible to get this data from anywhere else in the world. That's the one thing I absolutely love about the Americans is they've wrapped their head around this free market kind of idea. And so as a result, we got tons and tons of wonderful data to use. It's impossible to get this shit anywhere else in the world. And I think that's definitely a deliberate case by the 1%. To keep the public uninformed and uneducated. Whatever they say, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. And that's exactly what I see happening here every 80 years. I sure hope to God we can somehow learn from this experience. So, if anything, PXHRMT... sounds to me, probably a few people know exactly what's going to come next, but it sounds to me like we just found a volunteer. So I'm going to turn it around to you, Mr. PXHMT, and I'm going to ask you to try and find data for me to consider to add to the education program from whatever country you're from. See if you can try and dig up some data and be a part of the solution rather than part of the uneducated, unkempt masses. I'm just playing. I think the person, are you here in the Hangout? Is that you? PXHRMT. Alexander. Hello, Alexander. Yeah, are you from Russia? It would be really interesting to see Russian data. Half of the reason why they think that the Romanovs were knocked off there was because he wouldn't accept the central bankers in Russia, eh? I mean, that's the true irony of all of this, is that Russia was historically one of the last holdouts in Europe, right? I don't know whether you know the story, right? Fritz and all the Germans, they started off this crazy banking cartel nonsense and spilled over into France, of course, and the Bank of England and, the Dutch banks. And, one could argue that they all hopped on a boat and headed over to the Americas to set up the operation in the Americas. This crazy American general who from the southern U.S., he was hell-bent on getting the bankers the hell out of the United States of America, and he did a pretty good job. And then that basically set the stage for, the past 200 years of basically the banksters waging their sort of corporate silent war in the background. They finally took over in 1913 when Woodrow Wilson, thinking populism, thought that maybe we can have sort of a central bank that can help balance the playing field. And the day that that legislation was passed basically sealed our fate of the world that we're living in now. In fact, you could probably make the argument the day that that bill was signed was literally probably, the twinkle in Bitcoin's grandparents' eyes. I like that thinking. If you know what I mean. So, all right. So hopefully we've covered all the questions that were asked here today. Unfortunately, I don't want to get into the math of this here today. This is too complicated to do in one of these shows, and really, if anything, we should probably talk about this when you get into the fractals, which is probably about 2 or 3 weeks from now, and candlestick patterns and stuff like that. We'll get into the Mandelbrot set. That would probably be the better time for us to have this conversation. So whoever asked about the golden triangle, maybe hold off on this until we get to fractals, okay? Okay, I think I'm going to leave the rants at that. Sure hope you enjoyed the offering. I had a couple funny lines in there, I think. Hopefully I didn't embarrass anybody in particular, piss off too many people. I love the idea now. If we want to talk about the banksters, we use the name Joey Diamond, and we all know who that is, although it is not anyone in particular's name, so it's nice incognito. None of us will get in trouble for saying that, and yet we all know who it is. I like the idea of calling Mr. Hairplugs Alan. I think that's an excellent idea. And I found out that he's a father, and I'm a father, and frankly speaking, I don't know how he can justify acting as irresponsibly as he does as a father. So we all know we're all going to call him Alan from now on. I like that. That struck a chord with me. As for the corn, I think we're still going through this very normal seasonal sell in May and walk away, and they're going to try and screw with your heads here. If anything, I'm worried that the 1% is going to try everything in their power to get you out of your Bitcoins. So just don't fall for it, right? That's why you have a plan, right? Don't fall for there's going to be a ton of FUD. Maybe don't go out and publicly advertise that you're long a bunch of Bitcoins. Maybe just keep that to yourself. Put them on USB storages, right? Just get them completely off of the grid. That's not such a terrible idea. At the same time, too, don't fall in love with this one asset. That's not smart. I mean, that's just asking for trouble. I know, when we're going through rip-roaring face rip every single day, everything's moving up. Okay, fine. You're a player. You're in there hard. Go, go, go! But I don't think we're in that kind of environment right now. Just play it cool. We'll go back into this stupid nutso altcoin fucking face rip, but the kids on the site, Astronaut Dave. Although I think Astronaut Dave's pissed off at me right now. I don't know why. Astronaut Dave, if you're watching this later on, or anybody's friend with Astronaut Dave on the site, ask him to reach out to me. I don't know why he's not talking to me. Anyway, but, we'll go back into those days when those guys are making fucking bucket loads of money, and we'll go back into, Collins Pump Chaser Zone, and those guys are having a great old time. But we're not in that environment right now. So just cool your jets. There's no hurry here. And if anything, throw in some crazy-ass stink bids. Throw in a bid to buy Bitcoin at $1. Just for fun. You never know. Or maybe like $100. I think Andrew and Shane were telling me they threw in a couple really cool little stink bids on Kraken, I think it was. And they got just some absolute gift fills. Because one day Bitcoin just shit the bed a year or two ago. You never know in this game. You might as well. I mean, if you got the money, you might as well. So, anyway, food for thought. In fact, actually, I think I might go throw in a couple of stink bids while I'm thinking about it. Okay, so as you can see, the chart looks a bit heavy. There's no bull here. It's one of those things where we're probably down in areas where fundamentally it's not such a terrible idea. Although I think personally I would prefer to be a buyer down here. So I do have active bids working down in this area. I think I told you, like on the Ethereum, I've got bids working down below, and I just missed my fill last one. So a nice little dump down into here will give me some more cheap ether. Got the shitcoin 5,000 challenge going strong. Not really buying a hell of a lot because my bids are still a hell of a lot lower. So if I do get fills, I let people on the site know I picked up some shitcoins. List is just doing its thing. I tell you, it's hard for me to think that Bitcoin's gonna fall because look at this, right? Look at XTC. What's going on here? That looks like a W. So that looks like an uppy market. That's not a kind of thing that you see if Bitcoin's about to shit the bed here. That even looks like a W. And he's been one of the kind of leaders, right? You probably want to watch the leaders. He's been a really sexy one. Probably watch that link. See if he goes and W's out here. I noticed this CND. It was popular a while ago. Something happened this morning. Somebody did a big fat finger in there this morning. I don't know whether that was on purpose or accident, but something's brewing there. I noticed this Stratus. Look at this Stratus. This is not the kind of market. Markets don't look like this if they're about to crash. Something's going on here. If you see this thing closing out above these levels, that's going to be a big ass W. It was getting ready for another run here. So I don't really see crash here. This isn't crash environment. And then I'll tell you, man. Like I said, I've told you guys about these two. They're kind of funny little characters. Ubic as sort of an Ethereum clone. And Geo, which is geohashing, basically you can mine this thing just by going out to certain locations in the world. Well, wouldn't that be kind of good to tie in with COVID? You go get your COVID passport. I don't know. I love this Geo name. I think its technology is so cool. It's just sitting there. Pokemon, those kind of people. One day, I think the market's going to wake up on this thing. Look how volatile it used to get. Because it's such a cool name. It's just the guy doing the project's just sort of sitting there twiddling his thumbs. Anyway, so those are the kind of names that I'd be interested in crypto. You know me. I'm a weirdo. I'm long all this stuff. So... All right, so slowly back the truck up. Beep, 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 beep. Don't think there's a huge hurry. Just slow and steady wins the race. I think I'll leave it at that. Wish me luck with Liam this afternoon. I see BT has already wished me good luck, so thank you, sir. I guess I'll see everybody on the site. We'll have that interesting conversation over the next few days in the Broiler Chicken in the daily brief on the spiral. I haven't done a spiral on Bitcoin in a while, so. All right, everybody. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. All the best, and bye.